The new squad in town, Nashville SC, heads to Red Bull Arena to face off against New York Red Bulls 2 for the first time ever in their USL history, as the New York Red Bulls 2 try to get back to winning ways here at Red Bull Arena. I'm David Goss, joined by Heath Pierce. We are looking forward to this one between these two teams. For New York Red Bulls 2, 3-1-4, coming off a draw against Ottawa midweek, an early game, and they got a red card against Ottawa, but were not able to capitalize in a 0-0 draw. And on the flip side, for Nashville, they've been on a long break, 0-0 at Penn FC midweek, and that shutout was led by Matt Pickens, starting goalkeeper for this team. Heath, 4 shutouts on the year.
Yeah, Coach Smith said that this is the best he's ever seen him. Obviously had him in MLS, but he's in the best form of his career, the fittest he's ever seen him. And, you know, goalkeepers tend to age well in their 30s, so.
Not just goalkeeper, but goalkeeper coach here. So Matt Pickens giving himself some pointers. And on the flip side, looking to break him down this week, we've got Alex Wheel on loan from the MLS squad, played 18 minutes yesterday against NYCFC, now getting the start here today.
Hasn't played a lot with this team, and for good reason. He's been playing well for the MLS squad, but you know, this is a guy you're going to be looking to create, to lead, and to really create that offensive spark here today.
It's been boom or bust for this New York Red Bulls 2 team. They lead the league in shots, one of the most explosive squads, but only 1 goal scored in their last 2 games up in Canada, trying to get back to winning ways here at home against a Nashville SC team that's riding a little bit of confidence into this one. It should be a good one here. Cloudy Red Bull Arena as these two teams get ready to take the field. We will be back in just a moment with all your first half action here from Red Bull Arena.
With MSG Go, the game goes where you go. So you can watch live Red Bulls games anywhere you want. It's free and easy because if you get MSG, you get MSG Go. Watch your favorite team wherever you are with MSG Go, presented by Lexus. Download it for free where you get your apps.
One of the nation's leading heart programs. A shared sense of compassion, innovation, and expertise. Perfectly orchestrated so your world never misses a beat. Hackensack Meridian Health, life years ahead.
Welcome back to Red Bull Arena. The festivities finish as these two teams are ready to take the field for this one. Nashville SC in their blue jerseys with the white trim on their first ever away trip to the New York metro area. Let's look at the starting lineup for this Nashville team. Fairly similar to what they played last week. You'll see it more of a 5-man backline, as we've been told. David Edgar, though, getting a second start here at center back, coming in, and then Alan Wynn, Lebo Moloto, and Ropapa Mensah bringing the attacking guile. 2 former Red Bull players in Bolo Akinyode and Kosuke Kamura. On the flip side for New York, a 4-2-3-1 has become familiar for this team. A few different faces from midweek. Lucas Stauffer swaps from right back to left back, but up top, Stefano Bonomo. He has been so good when he plays here with New York Red Bulls too. Hasn't gotten minutes in MLS. Where is the mindset of a player like that? How does this coaching staff try and really keep him up?
Well, obviously with Mule and Ben Mines together, you're going to look to see how they can combine now with Bonomo, who's been so good. Can he keep his form with two players who he hasn't been playing with throughout this entire season? But between the three of them, there's definitely a lot of attacking power.
And a new name here for the first time ever, Ibrahim Sagaya, the head coach for this New York Red Bulls 2 team, as John Wolyniec is on vacation because his wife had a baby last night. Andrew John Wolyniec, 6 pounds, born into this world. Congratulations to the Wolyniec family as well as to Ibrahim Sagaya. And on the flip side, for this Nashville SC team, the man who has put this entire project together, the head coach, Gary Smith out of England, here with this Nashville SC squad that he has built piece by piece to come into their opening year here, Heath, and 2-2-2 to start the year. Only 2 home games played so far. They're on a long stretch, finishing up here of a lot of time off. You look at this opportunity for Coach Smith, it's tough. You got to build cohesion. You have to build a unit out of nowhere. He seems to have done a good job early on.
He's done a good job early on, but they're playing away from home against a team that's very, very good at home, undefeated at home to start this year, so it's definitely going to challenge everything that he's built so far and really put them to test.
You look at our officials for this one, Daniel Gutierrez, Zeno Cho, and Sespen Jiwa, his 2 assistants for this one. We are looking forward to this game. As we mentioned, Nashville SC, one of the best defensive squads in the league. New York Red Bulls 2, been one of the best attacks in the USL so far as we kick off. New York Red Bulls 2, and they're all red kits going right to left to start this one out here on the Red Bull Arena field, which was so successful yesterday for this club as they knocked off NYCFC 4-0 in the first installment of the New York Derby, or Derby, whatever it is you choose to call it. Bolu Akinyode knowing this field well. New York Red Bull Academy player as part of the inaugural New York Red Bull 2 team, playing in that holding midfield role for Coach Smith. Alan Wynn cuts in, loses possession. Bezecourt, he turns it over, and now a chance for New York to push the other way. Cutler into the feet of Bonomo. It's cleared away. New York pressing high. Bezecourt with the layoff for Bonomo. Down the left wing now, Kimura closing defensively. Bezecourt cuts back. Can't find much of a teammate. Shot opportunity there. It's deflected, and it goes out as 2 Red Bulls players jumped on that one.
Both went for the shot at the same time. That goes in. Who's taking credit for it? No, but just before that, jokes aside, that there was a great little pressing moment. You can see exactly, to get right into the kind of the philosophy of how the Red Bull organization is trying to play, it's forcing those turnovers high up the field. They closed out gap with 4, 5, 6 guys and were able to get into a dangerous position early on, which just starts to give a little bit more confidence into the team to settle in and make that opposing team really, really uncomfortable.
For this Nashville SC squad, they started the year in more of a 4-man backline. David Edgar brought in late on after his injuries in Vancouver last year, coming into the team, becoming part of that center back pairing, and now they've slowly moved to a 5-man back line, and that's what Coach Smith has put them in to start this game. Heath, for a guy who's played both inside and on the wings of that formation, how different is your roles? How much of an adjustment does it take?
Oh, it's hugely different, but a guy like David Edgar's a lot of experience, and you need somebody who's going to lead the line, right? You need somebody with experience to now put that cohesion, not just for a few minutes, but actually to help instill a philosophy or a system that's not just going to be today, but moving pieces around, making players around you have an easier job because you know how to play outside back, you know how to play at center back, and you know what those positions require, and allowing them to you're sort of teaching on the go, and I think a guy like that's going to be able to help them in the long term.
Coach Smith highlighted his ability to play out of the back, his ability on the ball as a chance to bring an added element to this team as Wheel passes it off Akinyode to himself. Bonomo trying to peel off that back line. Offside flag finally goes up against Bonomo.
You talked about just now being able to play out of the back. And that's one of those things that you have to do most days when you are an outside back now. If you were playing outside back in the game, you have to be.
Papa Mensah onside here. Is it down that left wing? Cross comes in from Washington, and it's knocked away. New York looking to get in possession, going back the other way. Ben Mines, the young 17-year-old homegrown player, on the ball. He goes to battle there with Edgar, and he's going to get the call in his favor. You know, you look at that matchup there, Heath, just about 13, 14 years age difference.
It's a few years. But that's what you like about a guy like Ben Mines, is fearless, going against a guy who's got a ton of experience, gets into his lane. You see that natural attacking ability that sometimes you don't have to have the experience to know. Gets into his running lane, forces that foul, draws a yellow card early on for one of the better players on the field. You now have a David Edgar who's going to have to be a lot more cautious. He's going to have to be a lot more calm. We're only a couple minutes into the game, so it's well done by Ben Mines.
So dangerous free kick opportunity coming here. Ethan Cutler, number 41, the right back, standing over this one with his right foot. Ben Mines, his left foot, looks like the other option. Nashville with the four-man wall just in front of them. Cutler winds up, curls it over, and Pickens takes it easily as he goes to his knees. First good look on goal we've really seen so far in this one. A fast start here, though, from this New York Red Bulls 2 team. As you said, getting out, getting into their press, trying to put some pressure on early.
Not only the pressure, but they're counterattacking well, right? They're taking a little bit of what the game gives them, along with how they're trying to play when they have comfort on the ball. So that makes it difficult for another team to be able to settle in. If they're saying, hey, we're going to expose ourselves a little bit defensively on the counter, and a team's willing to take that, as well as when they have their opportunities to press on you or kind of put the game into their hands. It's a very versatile style of play, and so far it's been working.
For this New York Red Bull 2 team, John Wolonek, as we said, not on the bench. Ibrahim Sakaya, who is his assistant, has been since 2015, is on the bench. Is there a big difference as that quick shot comes in from Mensah? If you're a player, does it really matter? What's the change when that coach changes for that one game?
Well, I think this is more of a test of how much the players understand the systems, right? The coach can come in and out, but if the philosophy is the same throughout the week, if the philosophy is the same in the way that they're approaching the game, yes, Sagaya is going to be able to step in and sort of put his little spin on things and wants to make his mark, but it's a temporary thing. So it's going to be, the big test is whether these players.
Chance here from Mensah. He steals it off the foot of Scarlett. One-on-one with Laurel and puts it in. Papa Mensah puts the pressure on, steals that ball, goes half the distance of the field, and puts Nashville in the lead. Perfect start here for Gary Smith's side as Mensah gets his third goal of the season.
Plenty of time on the ball here. A little bit too much time, takes his time, tries to play out of it. And again, is able to slot it home. But you want to see from the two center backs there, once they turn this ball over, what's their reaction? And you can see, of course, he's onto a breakaway, but I'd like to see both of them be able to sprint back full pace, try to make a recovery there. Obviously, he's got a jump start, but you don't want to give away that ball.
You could tell by the way that ball came through. Scarlett's first thought was, I'm going to head this back to goal, and then it bounced up rather than back, and he got stuck in that in-between position. Coach Smith talked to us, though, before this game this week on the phone and said, we've been creating chances. I'm just waiting for a guy to catch form. I feel like we've gotten better in that final third area. This is a perfect start for a team that had the better looks midweek and weren't able to get the win.
Right, and it's a little bit opportunistic. It's capitalizing. It's high pressing. It's putting a guy under pressure. Yes, it should have been able to be sort of settled on a little bit more by Scarlett. He gets stuck between two minds, as you said, and that leads to an opportunity. That opportunity gets capitalized on. And that's the type of moment that you need, though, for your attack to find a run of form, to get into confidence, because most strikers are very streaky. They're all about confidence. And if you can get that easy goal, that can change things for you, not just in the next few minutes, but for the rest of the match and then the next games as well.
This is only the 4th home game for New York Red Bulls, too. They conceded first against Toronto FC in the first game of the season, Toronto FC 2. They ended up sneaking out a 2-1 win. But in the next 2 games, they scored first, as now another battle here in the box. A foul will go against Nashville. And they went on to put up 5 goals in those 2 games. So you see the difference for this Red Bulls 2 team when they get to play from a lead and when they have to play from behind in Nashville, getting the perfect start here on the road.
Yeah, and the Red Bulls have plenty of quality on the pitch to be able to come back, and enough time on the clock, and there's enough confidence, that's for sure, in these young players. But certainly don't want to start the game going down that.
Mines down the wing for Cutler, who curls it to the far post. Bezecourt gets a foot to it, and it goes just wide. Pickens saying he got a touch to it. Now it will go down for a goal kick. New York trying to create some chances to get back into this one. Good ball from Ben Mines to launch this attack.
It's a great look to the back post. Overhits it just a little bit. Actually looks like Pickens gets his hand on it. Looked like he was arguing that it was out of bounds already before he touched it, which a goalkeeper would do.
Well, he's a goalkeeper. He's also the goalkeeper coach for this team, so he could also referee. It's just another job to put on there. Kosuke Kimura and Matt Pickens, 2 of the experienced players on this team. As you look at this starting lineup for Coach Smith, he's got 3 players in there in Michael Reed, the captain, as well as Pickens and Kimura, who have played for him in the past at some of his past jobs. And that was something he highlighted to us in saying, what I wanted to do early on was bring in guys who understood me and could help build a culture both on the field but in the locker room.
And that translates into trust, right? What he's looking for is people that he can trust to help build on his philosophy, that he doesn't have to now start from scratch and hope that somebody's going to buy into it or earn their trust. These are guys whose trust he's earned, and he trusts them. So bringing in guys with the experience to know that they're going to come in here and be part of something bigger than themselves instead of making it about them, and that's a difficult thing to do. So
Matt Pickens, the starting goalkeeper in Colorado for Gary Smith, winning 2010 MLS Cup. Ended up making over 100 appearances for Colorado in his time with him. Came over from Tampa Bay to be a part of this team. Kosuke Kimura, also a starter in MLS Cup in 2010. Michael Reed, the captain in Atlanta, the Silverbacks. This one's floated in by Reed, taken by Laurel. Also Robin Schrute on the bench, was coached by Gary Smith both as a youth player at Wimbledon and then as a full senior player at Stevenage before Smith came here. So guys lit from all over his career, both in MLS, NASL, as well as in England, coming to be a part of this new project. Lima floats this one over the top. Mines will get there first, cuts it back. Good read by Michael Reed.
I can tell you, Dave, at least for Coach Smith's philosophy.
Mines now with some space down the right side once again. That cross easily blocked at the near post.
The players that he's brought in were part of teams that he built very defensively sound. I can say that because I was the one on the opposing end in MLS Cup final when we lost to Colorado, and they were very disciplined defensively. They were very hard to play against. They weren't necessarily about playing beautifully, and it earned them a trophy. And I think having guys like that you know that I'm sure at times you want to play beautifully, but at least having that foundation of saying, when things go wrong, we're going to be a hard-nosed team. We're going to be very difficult to beat, even on our bad days, is the kind of players that you want to bring in. And obviously, having gotten a chance to play with Kimura, against Kimura in the final, and then with him here at the in New York with the Red Bulls, he is a guy that's very disciplined and a guy that you can trust at any time. And those guys are actually tougher to find than you think. So when you're a coach that's building something, you want to be able to bring in a guy and say, okay, he checks the boxes that we need, not just to win games now, but to help build a club for the future.
And you look at what Coach Smith said going into this one, and he said, you know, building from scratch, it's easier to build defensive stability than creativity. Creativity comes with chemistry which takes some time. And so you look at the type of coach Smith has been, as you mentioned, that philosophy, that background, 4 shutouts in the first 6 games here. He's been able to do that pretty quickly with this squad. Now that gives him a chance to take some time for that chemistry offensively to be created.
Right, and of course, they haven't played as many games as other teams within the league.
Chance down the left side here for Washington. Cutler in a foot race with him. Washington gets the cross away, and it's blocked and will go out for a corner.
They haven't played that many games, and like you said, you need that chemistry. Players need to start to learn where my attacking movement's going to be, but defensively, you can sort of set the philosophy in saying, this is how we step our lines, this is when we step back, this is how we shift and move. If I push forward, who's going to cover for me? Those are the things that you can get reps in training and build a strong foundation of, whereas in the attack, again, it's about every game is different, every moment's different, but you've got to start to get those attacking players on the same page, who's going to take the lead of that attack, and that's something that you can build slowly, but those players have to take a little bit more responsibility than, say, a coach who can build a back line.
Allen Wynn with the corner kick played in, headed away. Moloto keeps this one alive, puts it right on Loro, headed down. Chance now, and the shot is blocked and then cleared by Bonomo. The sliding block there by Casares in the box. Otherwise, it could have been 2-0 Nashville SC. Nashville looking to stretch their lead a little bit more. That one falls behind Wynn. Nashville SC, the dream start, the 7th minute goal by Ropapa Mensah. Almost making it 2-0 just a moment ago. This newfound club showing a lot of confidence on the road right now.
You know, in those types of moments, that's where you want to look to Evan Loro to be able to, when he's going to come off his line and clear that, to be able to clear his lines beyond that. When he's coming out to punch, to make sure that you're clearing that first line of guys, because that's where that danger is. That's where that ability is to get that second chance on frame. Team was able to close that gap. And again, you see here.
It's a second ball coming in from Moloto. Gives Loro the problem.
Gets kind of a little bit of lack of communication. Loro comes out late and is only able to punch it and doesn't clear the danger and leads to a big chance.
Stauffer now pushing forward. Tries to clip it down the line. And Pickens will finally clear it. Mine's now swapping wings. Clips it towards the far post, and Pickens once again out to take this one. And then he goes with the half-field throw into the path of Moloto. The battle between the two African natives, and Moloto comes out on top of Endom. You talk about the value a player can have, being experienced, bringing someone in you know. Matt Pickens there for a goalkeeper, launching the attack, understanding the moment, throwing that one out perfectly in the stride of Moloto.
Absolutely, it's great distribution. I think it's a little bit harsh of a call on Dom. It looked like he was in a good position. Obviously being physical, as the physical specimen that he is, he gets his arm out. I think the ref giving a yellow card, I think, is way too harsh, but ultimately I think the foul was too harsh. I think he won that ball really well, cut off the lane, used his body to get into that lane, but here they are now with a free kick in dangerous position.
And they just saw Loro struggle clearing his lines a minute or two ago. So we expect to see Reed or Davis put this one right on the top of the 6. A few options in the box for Nashville. It'll be Davis to curl it to the far post, but Bonomo will let that one float out. Just south of 20 minutes played here at Red Bull Arena. New York Red Bulls 2 hosting Nashville SC for the first time ever. 7th minute goal by Ropapa Mensah. Heath, what have you seen from these two sides so far? How do you see this matchup?
Well, it seems like Nashville are perfectly content to wait for their moments to press. They are pressing higher up the field than I would have expected when they're playing here on the road, but Red Bull 2 having a decent run of possession, some couple good counterattacks to start.
They're trying to sneak that into the feet of Muil, and it's pushed away by Bourgeois.
But the pace has been high from both sides, and I like to see Red Bull 2 be able to settle down a little bit, find themselves a little bit more of a rhythm.
Stauffer sneaking in field. Casares plays that one wide for Mines. And Washington able to handle it. He goes up the line for Moloto. Great touch there from Moloto to keep possession. And then a miscommunication turns it back over. Lebo Moloto, experienced USL player. Some time with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, including scoring a goal here in the playoffs for the first ever New York Red Bull 2 playoff game. Went to USL Cup final with Swope Park Rangers last year. Has pretty good credentials. Bourgeois handles this one as well. His teammates nicknamed him Magic. That's a good nickname to have. You see a little bit why there. 2 clean touches in midfield are able to earn him a free kick. Maybe a little bit more for Chris Lima. But you've got a guy in Moloto who maybe doesn't fit positionally perfectly anywhere. There's that quality that you just want to get on the field and you just want to get him comfortable.
Yeah, you want to get him comfortable, you want to get him touches, and you want to keep him involved at all times. He's the kind of player you can tell already that if the ball doesn't find him, if he doesn't get the ball, he's going to get frustrated. He's going to probably fade out of the game. But the more you get him the ball, the more you find him, the more you can see his willingness to attack, to be disruptive in the attack, and to really stir things up. And obviously, they've already targeted him with a few hard challenges to know that this is a guy that we have to keep him off his game, keep him from really finding that rhythm and confidence that could hurt us.
There's a guy, as we said, that knows this league quite well. As Mines knocks that one off the foot of Davis. Justin Davis, one of the many experienced players on this Nashville team. Pretty big age difference. We got a couple 30-year-olds along the back line for this Nashville team. And then Evan Loro, the goalkeeper, in his low 20s as the oldest player on this New York Red Bull 2 roster.
Again, this is about experience versus youth, and as often as we talk about it on these broadcasts, that's what it's about, and that's why you need a guy like Alex Muil to be able to say, hey guys, I've seen what it's like at the next level. I'm experiencing that now. This is how we need to play, or these are the things I need from the team around you, and that's why he's the captain today. He has that experience, and it's going to be up to him to help lift that level because they have the youth and they have the legs, but what they don't have is that experience.
Muil, interestingly enough, hasn't actually played that many games with this New York Red Bull 2 team. Started the first 5 games his first year of professional soccer, and then quickly became a part of Jesse Marsh's immediate squad, playing out on that wing, bringing a ton of work rate, a lot of energy, fitting in very well alongside the bigger stars in Royer and Wright Phillips to be a part of that first team, unlike guys like Derek Etienne Jr. and Velo, who both scored in the New York Derby yesterday, who have played heavy minutes here with New York Red Bulls too. Mines missing on that pass. Davis simply going back to Pickens' feet. And it's something we talk about, Heath, every single game for some of these guys mentally. How do you handle being moved from team to team? How do you handle the fact that yesterday you subbed in to a 4-0 lead against NYCFC and Patrick Vieira and Maxi Morales and David Villa, and now you come and play in a different situation where there's different expectations on you as Stauffer rips that one.
Well, look, I mean, it's going to be different for every player. When you look at Florian Velo, guys like that who have been in and out of Red Bull 2s into the first team, starting to break through, Derek Etienne Jr. as well. First and foremost for them, they're used to it. They're used to sort of these elevator moments. They take their chances when they get brought up when they have those chances. But for a guy like Alex Muil, he hasn't really spent a ton of time, right?
Turnover here in a dangerous spot. Bezecourt with the early shot, and it goes wide. And a free kick now called on the top of the box as Edgar went sliding in just as that shot got unleashed.
Good look, and was able to draw the foul there at the end of it when the ball goes wide. But to finish my thought while they're setting up here about Alex Mule, it's a little bit more frustrating for a guy like that, right? It feels more like a demotion than it feels like an ability to get games. And so mentally, he has to be able to tap into what's got him there in the first place. And that's a little bit harder than some of the other guys whose sort of trajectory is going forward. This can sometimes, for young players, feel like a step backwards. So they need to have that conversation with the coaches, with the players, that this is not that. This is another opportunity for them to get minutes, to get games, to get experience. And, you know, I'm interested to see Alex's body language today, see how he reacts. I've seen a few times already, head down a little bit, used to different type of ball, but, you know, we'll see.
Bezecourt standing over this one with his left foot, hits it low, off of Kimura, and then Davis will clear it out for a corner kick. New York, 2 dangerous free kicks from the top of the box so far, have not been able to make the most of them. Now a set piece opportunity coming here from the corner. Bezecourt with the left-footed service. Headed away by Edgar. Second one won there by Reed, and then the snapshot from Lima goes wide. Another young player for this New York Red Bull 2 team that we've spoken a lot about. Scored a goal in MLS this season before he even played in USL, and now has been trying to find his feet a bit more consistently. But a young, speedy player that this New York Red Bull franchise is very excited about. We're clips that one down the line. Scarlett handles that one a little bit more cleanly. Puts it out for the throw-in.
Again, we've now covered a very wide range of player on the field on the same team. You know, everybody's trying to achieve a different objective. Now, you can see how challenging that can be for today, Ibrahim Sagaya, but like putting a team out every single week with the objective of getting results in a league while managing 100 different objectives or goals from each player can be a huge challenge. So it's a huge credit that they continue to get results no matter who they put on the field.
You played with Ibrahim Sagaya. Tell us a little bit about him.
He's a very calm, collected guy. Physical presence. He was coming in right before I was in my last season with New York Red Bulls, but fantastic person, fantastic teammate. And you could tell from the moment that he came in, he had an ability to teach, he had an ability to organize around him, and that always bodes well when you're moving into being a manager or a coach, that willingness to communicate, that fearlessness to have tough conversation with guys around you. And I think with his success on the field as well as his willingness to improve now as a coach, I think he'll do well.
Lima sneaks this one through from Mines, who finds the back of the net. Vincent Bezecourt with the opening goal. Floating out wide right, coming in off that through ball and curling it in for the equalizer here at Red Bull Arena.
So much quality in the pass there to get your head up, slip that one through behind the lines, literally passing 3 lines of defense, an incredible slot to the back post from Bezecourt.
Vincent Bezecourt in his 3rd USL appearance of the year with his first goal. Led the USL in assists for most of last year, but has been playing in MLS and CCL most of this year. Gets his first goal of the season.
And not just the finish that was good. Yes, the pass was good to put him in behind the lines as well, but that movement coming from outside to in, slipping behind the weak shoulder or the off shoulder of the outside back and the center back gives him that gap to get in behind. Gets lost in communication between the defenders, and that's exactly how you punish a team once you get into that position.
Bezecourt right now playing the Kaku role, giving freedom to roam from wing to wing, now on the left side. So 20 minutes in between Nashville's opening goal and New York Red Bulls 2, tying it up. And this young team did not put their head down, continued to create chances. Vincent Bezecourt, 6 goals in USL last year. Joined the team in 2016. Had some trouble with his U.S. paperwork, and so spent some time training with the squad after he got out of St. Francis, Brooklyn, before finally being able to play the bulk of his USL minutes. Scored 8 goals that year and was a big part of the eventual USL championship team. Heath, not to go back to it too many times, but yesterday against NYCFC in a huge MLS victory, 7 players on the field at one time. Had New York Red Bull 2 experience. 5 players, the bulk of that USL championship winning team. Wheel now sneaks in, gets it to the far post. Mines now lays it back for Cutler, who puts it over the top of the crossbar. So we saw Nashville create some chances after their goal. New York Red Bulls 2 now continuing to put the pressure on.
And again, a guy like Wheel getting into dangerous positions. You've seen his touches already today. Everywhere he goes, he draws attention, but he's so quick in and out of spaces, and he's so comfortable on the ball that he's capable of punishing. Great ball across. Should have had a guy on the back post there, but it ends up creating that cutback and a big opportunity.
To go back to it, those 7 players, you know, yeah, Sean Davis is from this academy, Tyler Adams from this academy, but anyone could have signed Vincent Bezecourt or Florian Velo. Now you've got Velo starting and scoring goals in your biggest game of the season.
7 players. It's a lot, right? And we've seen before with certain clubs and systems. If you look at Montreal and the way that they tried to bring out their FC Montreal, they played all youth players. They didn't have a balance. They didn't get a lot of results. It was a really tough situation because the gap between the quality of USL and those players was still too big. Whereas here you're starting to see that gap. You're seeing that gap close. These kids are on par of quality no matter what their age, or they're not playing. And this is an opportunity to prove themselves against 10, 12, 15-year career professionals. And then to be able to take that and those kids develop and then move them in to the New York Red Bulls first team, it's a completely different opportunity. So now if you're a player that's going to start his career in USL, whether it's through an academy or not, you can see how you can move within the system. You can see how if you become the best within your team, that there is another place for you or another level that you can push yourself at. And then to have them all training in the same facilities, in the same place, week in and week out, you know people are watching. And that's something we never had in the U.S. for the longest time, and now you're starting to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, you look at a guy like, you know, Bolo Akinyote, and you know maybe if you get offers from different MLS teams, and Akinyote was a former Red Bull Academy player, but a guy like Bezecourt or Velo, even if you get offers from different MLS teams, MLS clubs for USL opportunities, like you said, you know that there is a pathway at New York Red Bulls. You also know that there's been some success. So even if you don't make it into MLS, you can be a guy like Akinyote, a guy like Brandon Allen, who can then get another job with a top USL squad, an opportunity to continue your career and continue to show for yourself.
Yeah, the system's not going to work for everyone, right? Everyone's going to develop at a different pace. Some coaches can get the most out of you, some can't, and every personality and character is going to be different. But because there are these avenues now,
chance here for Mines to cross. He cuts in, looking for the feet of Wheel, and is blocked away.
You have the ability to develop within a system, but if you can stay in that system as long as you can, and you're still young enough to say, there's another step for me and I can still develop here, you know, at a certain point you might grow out of it, and you have to see what your next professional opportunity is. But at least at the moment, you're seeing these young players actually getting those opportunities, and that's a testament to the system, because you can have all the young players you want, but if you're not giving them opportunities to prove themselves, then what's it for?
Alex Wheel drawing that foul, and we do have to say Alex Wheel was sporting a very impressive Heath Pierce-esque man bun over the last year and a half. He cut it off for a good cause, donating it to be a wig for people suffering from illness. Heath, would you like to join him?
I've been thinking about that.
Yeah.
I've got really long hair right now.
Yeah, a very impressive man bun standing next to me right now. A little frizzy. Free kick coming here. Bezecourt floats it in. Right on the hands of Pickens.
But most of the things I've looked into, I've got to have my hair quite a bit longer than that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get to that point, and then I'm doing it.
Okay.
If I am going to cut it, though, I give you my word. It's going to be for charity.
and I will be the one cutting it, right?
Absolutely.
This one bouncing through. Laurel comes out to take it as Mensah once again adding some pressure. Bonomo battling now up top. Lays it off, tries to for Bezecourt, blocked by Edgar. Still play on now from our head referee, Daniel Gutierrez. Edgar blocks that cross. Quickly taken, throw in for New York Red Bulls 2. 1-1 tie right now here at Red Bull Arena. Popa Mensah in the 7th minute. Vincent Bezecourt in the 27th. Lima cycling this ball out to the left for Stauffer, who signed just 3 weeks ago after being drafted by Vancouver. Didn't make the final roster and getting an opportunity here with New York Red Bulls 2. Moloto cutting back in. He's got Wynn making the run down the middle of the field, could not get enough power on that shot.
It's good dynamic movement from Wynn there to see where that space was around him. See that Mensah was moving across, opening him that space to run diagonally. Having that type of vision is a developed skill. Of course, that's natural for some people too, but
Mines is going to get to this one. Davis sliding there, blocked the initial cross. Bezecourt floats it in. Pickens comes out to punch. And now Wynn goes down and draws the foul.
good smart foul there from Stauffer. We've seen that times when they haven't been organized. They're a little bit vulnerable in the counterattack. And Nashville definitely has some speed up top, so while I don't necessarily think he was trying to bring him down there, killing that play avoids any type of counterattack or dangerous situation.
Nashville on the bench has C.J. Cochran in goal, Liam Doyle and Ryan James, two defenders. Matt Lagrasta in midfield, who could be an interesting option for this one, Heath, as right now Nashville struggling to get some possession in that middle area, more defensive-minded right now with Reed and Akinyode partnered. They also have some forward options in Tucker Hume, the big 6'8" man out of UNC, Robin Schrute, and then Michael Cox. So a few different ways Coach Smith can go with this game, most likely in the second half. On the flip side for New York, a few defenders in Kevin Politz and Nico De Vera on the bench. Backup goalkeeper for this one, Scott Levine. Cross diving header to get it away. Bourgeois. Now Muil and Mines trying to link up. Lima reads that one perfectly. Nashville struggling to clear their lines right now. New York Red Bulls, who are starting to pour some pressure on, looking for their first lead of the game. Finally, Wynn pushes it out. New York's got some attacking punch on the bench in Brian White, their leading goal scorer, Armando Moreno and Jose Aguinaga, as well as Jared Stroud. Let's bring some steel to that midfield. Wheel has it knocked off his foot by Kimura. Now Bourgeois finally able to get it clear for Nashville. How do they get some more control in this one? Because really, since the few minutes after the goal, they haven't had a lot of possession.
Yeah, it's that organization. It's leaning on David Edgar again as that middle man in a five-man back line to.
This one curled in for Bonomo. Edgar comes over. He's able to do just enough to give Pickens room to pick it up.
But a lot of it's actually on the offensive side, keeping possession of the ball. They haven't had, as you said before, a long run of possession that's allowed them to settle in a while. And so when you're
Mensah now forcing another mistake. Can he get it done by himself? Laurel makes the save. Right now the attack is Papa Mensah pressure, and he has made it look very dangerous here in the first half.
Being an opportunistic striker can get you a long way, right? Force those mistakes, hope that defense gets a little bit too lackadaisical, and then from there capitalize on them.
Lauro didn't have much to do for a while, comes up with this save here as Mensah tries to sneak that one back into the near post.
Yeah, Moloto there on the back post looking for that cut across.
Wynn floats this corner in. Loro takes it in a crowd. Not able to get it out quickly. Just south of 5 minutes left to play here in the first half. Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit selectsportamerica.com. Receive free shipping on orders over $50. Final 5 minutes of this first half here. Heath, maybe 10 with stoppage time. What do you want to see from these two squads?
Well, I think, again, it's situational awareness for Red Bull 2. It's about knowing that you're heading into half. You got your goal back. Everything's on level terms. You've found that when you over-attack a little bit, you can leave yourselves vulnerable at times. Center backs need to move the ball quickly, but getting out of this half at 1-1 is the most important thing for both these squads, on the Nashville side as well. And hopefully saying, okay, for the next 5 minutes, we don't necessarily need to find that rhythm of possession, but at halftime, we're going to talk about how can we keep the ball a little bit more so we're not having to defend for long periods like this, because that can be exhausting.
Alan Wynn dropping in field to help out defensively. Reed showing off his footwork. Gets it up the wing to Washington. Now Mensah. That'll turn a throw in for his squad in the offensive half. As we mentioned, New York Red Bulls too, trying to get back to winning ways here at home. Currently a perfect 3-0 at home. 1-4 on the season. Struggling to match those results. One rolls out. New York Red Bulls 2. A bright first half here. Out shooting Nashville 7-4. But only 2 of those shots have been on target. On the flip side for Nashville, Mensah with both those shots on target that have been one a goal and the other arguably the most dangerous chance of the game. Headed down by Scarlett. And Stauffer try and play out of pressure, but they play right back into it. Lima turns it over to Reed. New York fortunate not to launch a counterattack there for Nashville. These two teams battle out in midfield. Moloto can't get enough power on that through ball. Now Bonomo down the left wing. One-on-one with Bourgeois. Back into the feet of the Cal grad. Switchfield ball for Cutler. Turned over. Tackle made by Washington, and now Akinyode going back up the other way. Moloto with a lazy turnover. Casares trying to push the attack. Wheel coming in field, back towards the feet of Casares, who gets by 2 defenders and can't find the back of the net. The young Venezuelan creating an opportunity out of nothing there for New York Red Bull 2, and was inches away from giving them a lead.
Great ball from Wheel there, but even better footwork from Casares there to get into that space. 2-3 quick touches, draws the goalkeeper out, gets it over him, but it just falls wide. But that run of play there for about 30 seconds, good ball movement, good control, dynamic movement from the team off the ball, opened up all those spaces, and you see a guy like Casares who's able to come up from that defensive midfield position, see that lane that's open, attack it, and just inches away from going up 2-1 just before half.
New York starting to create chances here in this second half. Bezecourt finally getting the goal 15 minutes ago. Christian Casares in his first year with the New York Red Bull club, just 18 years old, out of Caracas, Venezuela. His dad, a former professional star down in Venezuela. Casares really enjoying his time here with New York Red Bulls too, as he's grown into a permanent starter early on in the season. Another dangerous free kick coming here. We've got Davis's left foot and Reed's right foot. It'll be Reed, curls it in to the back post. Header won by Bourgeois. Second chance coming, flag is up. As an incredible finish at the end of that one for Mensah will not count. That is heartbreaking. You get a bicycle kick off the bottom of the crossbar, and it doesn't count, and now New York's back looking to attack the other way. Just for the beautiful game, I weep for that.
What a finish. That almost counted.
Mensah now creating some space down the left side. One-on-one with Endom. To the feet of Wynn. Alan Wynn coming across the field to create a chance. And his cross is blocked. But you have to like the way Alan Wynn's come off the right wing and just found the game here as this first half's gone along, Heath.
Yeah, when you're a winger, sometimes you get stuck out on an island, and you need the ball to come to you because you're being told to stretch the field, open up the game. Sometimes you got to go looking for the ball, too, and looking for that space, and he's done well to come off that right side and start to get into some of those pockets, drive across. And when you're a defensive line, typically you're super happy to just let a guy stand out on the wing against you.
Wynn will take this corner kick. Won by Bonomo at the far post. Moloto battling away from Bezecourt. The back heel from Moloto. Akinyode now on the ball. It's finally cleared by New York.
Yeah, when you're on a back line, at least for myself, I was perfectly comfortable having a guy know where he is all the time, standing out on the wing. When you start to have a guy that's more dynamic, comfortable playing across multiple positions, and he's cutting inside and he's staying outside, it not only disrupts your flow, but also the other defenders have to take notice to him, and people have to start communicating more, and the whole game changes.
Mines and Reed in a battle, the two number 17s. A little bit of an age difference between the two players. Good-hearted battle there in midfield all the same.
Well, that's what you want to see from a guy like Ben Mines. Isn't the biggest player on the field, isn't the oldest player on the field.
Bezecourt curling in there.
But willing to get into a little bit of a scrap. Saw he's pushed off the ball a couple times earlier in the first half, but he's still going to keep going at him, keep competing, and it's great to see.
Cutler charging forward. Bezecourt able to bring that touchdown and floats his shot just over the crossbar. The final minute of stoppage time closing up here in the first half. A good one between these two teams. Nashville SC got the early goal on the road in the 7th minute. Rapapa Mensah, their leading goal scorer, putting them ahead. And then that man, Vincent Bezecourt, making it 1-1 just a few minutes later in the 27th minute to tie this one up between these two teams. We've got plenty for you coming at halftime. Some highlights from around the league. We'll take a look at some of the best players from the week that was, and then, of course, second half action between these two teams. Nashville SC, they've lost the shutout, but can they get a huge result on the road, or will New York Red Bulls, too, find a way to get back into the win column? We'll be back in just a moment here from Red Bull Arena.
With MSG Go, the game goes where you go. So you can watch live Red Bulls games anywhere you want. It's free and easy because if you get MSG, you get MSG Go. Watch your favorite team wherever you are with MSG Go, presented by Lexus. Download it for free where you get your apps.
One of the nation's leading heart programs. A shared sense of compassion, innovation, and expertise. Perfectly orchestrated so your world never misses a beat. Hackensack Meridian Health. Life years ahead.
New York Red Bulls 2 and Nashville SC tied 1-1 here at the half. David Goss and Heath Pierce joining you from Red Bull Arena. Coming into this one, we looked at two star players for these two teams. On one side, we've got Alex Mweel, who helped create some of the most dangerous chances for this New York Red Bull 2 team. Coming down from the MLS squad, but you wanted to see him lead. You wanted to see him push this team, and he has in the first half.
I think the final 30 minutes, I think the first 15 minutes, he was a little bit frustrated, not getting the balls where he's used to getting them or at the pace or, you know, on the same rhythm of the players that he's spending most of his time with. Final 30 minutes were really, really strong. He was active. He was all over the pitch, and I think, you know, he's starting to show that leadership that you want from him.
You see Brian White warming up. Leading goal scorer for this team on the bench could be an option here in the second half to try and break down Matt Pickens, who is the player we looked at coming into this one for Nashville. 4 shutouts, loses the shutout in this one, but has been pretty sure in that back line. A lot of action around him, not tough saves, but he's had to do a lot.
Yeah, he's covered a lot of ground in front of the goal, hasn't had to make a ton of saves. Came off his line really well when Casares got in behind, forced that wide. I'm sure he'll take credit for that, but has all around been pretty solid. It'll be interesting to see how he gets out in the second half when he starts to face a little more pressure.
For this New York Red Bull 2 fan base, their next game for New York Red Bulls on the road at Bethlehem Steel, and then they return home May 27th to face off against Indy 11. It starts a 3-game homestand as spring turns to summer. Indy 11, FC Cincinnati, and then they return to Montclair State University for the first game of the year against the Charlotte Independents, 3 of the most established teams in the Eastern Conference, 3 of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. It should be a fun summer of soccer here in New Jersey. We'll be back in just a moment here with your USL week that was and second half action here from Red Bull Arena.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of The Breakdown. Really excited to analyze the plays of the week this week. We even have an ESPN Sports Center #1 in the top 10. I hope you enjoy.
Great little move there from Cooper. Sends it across. It's Jamal Johnson.
The first play from Jamal Johnson here is his goal. If you watch when he picks the ball up, he has almost like a 8 to 10 meter radius around him. And that's created by his movement and his space. You know, he's recognized that when he's going into the box, that he doesn't need to make the first post run. He doesn't need to make the far post run. It's an extremely difficult finish, and it's coming across his body, and he makes extremely good contact on the ball. He uses the pace of the cross and slots it right into the corner.
Have a completely open view of what's happening. Oh my goodness. What a goal.
I don't think there's any doubt as to why this was the #1 on the ESPN Sports Center. It's a very special thing for a player to see a goalkeeper off a line, especially from a goal kick, because he's not expecting the ball to bounce to him, especially the way it bounced to him. So when the ball did bounce to him, I think that he just thinks, why not? And he's just showing everyone there is the technique that he has, but he also showed me what I feel as though is the mentality of a player, which is something that we've not seen yet this season. I think it's fantastic.
Francois takes it away, plays it back, Brett holds, scores!
Yes, what a great pullback.
Francois' defensive play here is what creates the goal. You know, his teammate loses the ball, he takes a bad touch, but he doesn't give up on it, and he persists, and his reaction to the turnover is fantastic. And then Brett can either do one or two things. He can take a touch or he can finish it first time. The defender thinks he's going to take a first-time shot, and that's what then allows him to have the composure to relax, take the touch, and it's a great finish.
Manila makes a meal out of that one. Now Ledesma on the breakaway, and it's 3-0 as he chips Maxi Crepo.
This goal for Cincinnati in the 76th minute is a lot about anticipation for Ledesma. The defender makes a great decision here to play the ball in behind. And when the Ottawa defender makes the mistake, and again, he anticipates the mistake, maybe if it was 0-0 at the time and he was going on to win the game or try and win the game, he might have taken a touch close to the keeper. But with the way they were playing, I completely understand why he's taken the first-time finish. Thank you for watching the breakdown on Week 7. As you can see, some fantastic goals, some fantastic plays, and I've really enjoyed analysing them. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Let's take a look around the league in USL. And the player of the week, not Carlton Belmar, Kyle Becker, former TFC draft pick, was an NASL champion last year, having a big week with a goal and 2 assists. This week, in one of the moments of the season, Kenny Walker scoring from behind midfield against Indy 11 for FC Cincinnati. It ended up being a huge 3-2 victory just 3 days ago for that FC Cincinnati team. Alan Wynn, you see here on Nashville SC. He got goal of the week just a few weeks ago. And then we'll look at the team of the week. But Heath, did you see Didier Drogba in Phoenix drink the water bottle on the corner kick?
I did.
I mean, that's when you know you're living life.
Yeah.
When you're out here, you're getting concessions.
Or you're really thirsty.
Or you're really thirsty. Yeah. It's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot in Nashville. It absolutely is. Or sorry, in Phoenix, it absolutely is. Didier Drogba, a special player, putting up some special moments for his team. You look at the USL team of the week this week. Cameron Lancaster scored twice for Louisville. They've won 5 of their 6 games already this year. So last year's champions already putting on a show. Gordon Wild, GA signing for Atlanta United. He put up his first 2 professional goals this week. And as we mentioned, Kyle Becker, a goal and 2 assists for North Carolina. A changing league, a new league, a lot of talent in USL from front to back. New York Red Bulls 2 and Nashville SC trying to figure out where they stand in this one. And as we mentioned, New York Red Bulls 2 out shooting Nashville 10-4, but 2-2 shots on goal. So the chances have been there for Nashville, but they've been few and far between. They haven't really found a consistent way to create outside of Mensah up top.
Yeah, on the flip side, we talked about Pickens not seeing a lot of action. Well, there you go. 2 shots on goal. It's the only action he's seen off of 10 shots. So he's had to be active, but not had to keep his team in the game.
61% possession for New York Red Bulls 2 in that first half. Nashville SC will try and bump that number up for themselves here. Coming in to the second half. We'll be back in just a moment with your second half action here from Red Bull Arena.
With MSG Go, the game goes where you go. So you can watch live Red Bulls games anywhere you want. It's free and easy because if you get MSG, you get MSG Go. Watch your favorite team wherever you are with MSG Go, presented by Lexus. Download it for free where you get your apps.
One of the nation's leading heart programs. shared sense of compassion, innovation, and expertise. Perfectly orchestrated so your world never misses a beat. Hackensack Meridian Health. Life years ahead.
Welcome back as we get ready for the second half here from Red Bull Arena, New York Red Bulls 2, and Nashville SC facing off for the first time in their history as Nashville, the new darlings of USL, having their first go-around here at the beginning of the 2018 season. Let's take a look at those first half highlights, and Heath, for Nashville, it was the perfect start.
Absolutely. Little too calm in the back for the Red Bull 2s. Takes advantage of it, slots it home past Evan Loro, who comes out, tries to be as big as he could. But all credit to Mensa there. Get on a breakaway and slot it home from a decently tough angle.
Well, Papa Mensa would pop up later on, creating chances still. Chris Lima, in place of Steven Echeverria in the holding midfield role. His through ball finds Bezecourt here for the game-tying goal.
Good movement from Bezecourt. Slip behind that back line, catches him sleeping a little bit, and great finish to get past very experienced goalkeeper.
Mensa's pressure continued to cause problems, this time for Endom instead of Scarlett. Evan Loro stepped up, though, to make the big save. And then this was my favorite moment of the first half. Mensa showing everything he's capable of. Unfortunately, Moloto was offside on the assist pass, but that was pretty cool in general, as we mentioned, for New York Red Bulls 2. From this game, they traveled south just a little bit to face off against the Bethlehem Steel FC, Philadelphia Union affiliate, as well as some former New York Red Bull 2 stars like Brandon Allen. And on the flip side, for Nashville SC, they've got a couple huge games coming up, including their next one at home against Louisville City FC, the defending USL champions. They just travel on the road to face off against the third and fourth place teams in the league in the Pittsburgh Riverhounds and the Charleston Battery. Bob Lilly doing it once again, the last undefeated team, his Pittsburgh Riverhounds squad, as he took them back to Rochester, where he coached for the last few years and won some USL championships and got the result against TFC2 earlier this weekend. They are sitting in third place in the Eastern Conference, just behind Louisville City and FC Cincinnati. New York Red Bulls right now in fifth place, with this being their ninth game. They've played more games than everyone else in the Eastern Conference. Nashville currently sitting in eighth place, looking for a good result here to try and bump up the standings. Heath, if you're these two coaches, what was your message at halftime? If you're Gary Smith, what are you telling your team? What are you focusing on coming out here in the second half?
Well, you're playing against a team that's very good at home. So I'm saying at 1-1, we're in good shape. But I would then follow up saying if we want to get a result here, we have to keep possession for longer spells. We have to allow our defense a little bit of breaks to be able to push the lines up and really settle in. And then on the flip side, if you're Sagaya, it's literally telling your back line to stay tuned in. We're having possession for long stretches, and that allows you to sometimes switch off or shut off. So I need you guys to be dialed in, organizing. And even if there's nothing to talk about, keep talking to each other. Keep organizing. Even if things are in place, move somebody over 1 foot to just keep them dialed into the game, because that's really where the only vulnerable moments are coming from.
Bonomo and Wheel trying to work through some tight space here. Pickens comes out, and he takes that one simply. As we said, Matt Pickens, not a lot of saves, but an active first half. The goalkeeper/goalkeeper coach. Heath, did you ever play with a player coach?
I don't know, actually.
Clearly it didn't stand out that much.
I don't think I ever did.
Do you think you could have done it?
I mean, I have a player coach in my rec league now.
Okay, I don't know that counts. Did I just
I mean, it
dismiss that?
does.
I'm a
because
player coach.
If he is having a bad game
I'm a player coach.
and he's yelling at me,
yeah.
I can't yell at him because
No.
he's the coach.
Yeah, I play center back on my team, and I coach and run the team.
Fair enough.
People still owe me money, but besides that,
Yeah.
it's
See,
been
it
fantastic.
starts to get real tricky when you get
Yeah.
into all that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I don't think I ever had a player coach at the professional level that I remember anyway.
What does it mean? What is the assistant coach's role? If you're a Kosuke Kimura, what are you doing outside of being just a player on the team?
Well, you might be working with helping with the academy type stuff, the younger players. It might be more of an educational thing. You might not be as hands-on, but you're getting experience, and you're probably
Mind whips this cross in. It's headed away by Bourgeois.
being leaned on in the same way that you would be leaned on as a leader in the team or a veteran in the team anyway. Talking about player personnel, talking about where you think, just giving more input than you would otherwise. So you're sitting in the actual team meetings that you wouldn't, that are more individual or video breakdown meetings, those types of things. And you're gaining experience from a coaching perspective. So I think it's more of a gain for the player than it is for the head coach. I think those players gain more experience than actually being able to add input into the game.
Akinyode there turns the ball over, goes sliding after it. Not happy with that call at all. Bolu Akinyode out of Nigeria, a New York Red Bull Academy player. Went to Seton Hall just up the road here in South Orange. And then came back to the New York Red Bull family to be a founding member of New York Red Bulls 2. Alongside, of course, Conrad Pleva, two Seton Hall grads that started out as Red Bull 2 players. He's now been with Bethlehem Steel in Nashville. He's a player that Coach Smith specifically said at just 23 years old, still showing that he can grow, shows his quality, naturally left-footed, a player he thought projects maybe a little bit higher than USL. Thought he's a player that either with Nashville or someone else could be headed for MLS or international soccer.
It's interesting. Do you think? Actually, here's a
You're
question.
gonna ask me a question. That's not how this normally works, Heath.
Yeah, you're right. I don't actually have a good question anyway. But Sasha Kleshin, former Red Bull, he went to Seton Hall.
He did go to Seton Hall.
And his brother, Gordon Kleshin.
Yep. Both played under Manny Shellshite, one of the legendary coaches on this continent, in this country. Helped really build some of the best coaches we know. Bob Bradley considers him a mentor, as do many other big-time members of the U.S. soccer circle. Down the wing now for Mines. Closed down by Bourgeois. Gets to the end line, and that cut back safely into the arms of Pickens.
It's funny you say.
He's back behind the play now. An injury. It looks like Stefano Bonomo dealing with a little bit of a knock. It's interesting that I say what?
Manny Shellshite, because he's been the counter argument of where we say the game needs to get to, right? So everybody's been arguing we need better coaches, we need better everything as the U.S. crashes out of qualifying for the World Cup. And Bob Bradley has used him as an example of a guy who has existed within the game, doing the things that we say don't exist,
right?
And that it's been here for a long time. So it's not as bad as we think it is, because guys like Manny Shellshite, who've obviously developed so many quality players who are in the pros now, and Bob Bradley says taught him a lot as a player and as a coach, saying that it's not as bad as we think it is, that these guys, there are a lot of good coaches out there that are improving the game. And you can see just from the coaches here today, there is some quality that exists. Not all is bad at the moment.
Yeah, recruited Sasha Kleshin from California all the way to New Jersey. Was a coach who liked open games, attacking games, and that's the other thing we hear about a lot is American players, they don't like to play in possession. They're not creative. They can't build up. And then you look at coaches who do that, and everyone says, well, that's not pragmatic. You can't win that way.
Right.
And, of course, now we stand a month away from a World Cup that the U.S. is not playing in. All because no one can make a decision on what they want. Wynn gets to the end line. His cross knocked away. Mensah comes up lame there. laying back behind the New York Red Bull 2 goal. That would be a huge loss for Nashville SC. Still down in a heap behind the goal. Has been alone the most dangerous player on the field for either team.
When you talk about being pragmatic, that's the uniqueness of having a New York Red Bull philosophy that goes from the top down or from the ground up, whichever way you want to paint it, because it's promoting creativity, it's promoting quality on the ball, but it's building the parameters of which these players need to understand what their job or what their role is within the team, and then what their role is on the field. So then within those parameters, you can be as creative as you want, right? Whereas I think maybe at times we were lacking just the parameters in general of how you play a certain system, and where the creativity comes out in the system, it's like either you were a creative player or you weren't.
Substitution coming here. David Edgar is going to check out as Liam Doyle will come on. Doyle starting the beginning of the year at center back before Edgar started to get a little bit more form, a little bit more fit, as Coach Smith said to us before this one. He can't just go 90 minutes week after week already in David Edgar. He's still working his way back, so get 60 minutes here, or 50 or so minutes. And now we'll sub out for Doyle, like for like change. Let me ask you this, Heath. If you played on a team where the front office, the coaching staff said, the team, the system is the star, would that in any way matter to you? So you say there's parameters to have creativity, and we've seen that. But at the same time, maybe some of the credit's going to that system rather than to the players. Would that have mattered to you, or would that matter to a group of players?
If you're winning, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You're winning. That's where you feel good, and then within your community, you're going to feel good or not feel good, right? I mean, if you're a goal scorer and your team, it's like somebody like David Villa would say, if your team scores, if you win 5-0 and you're a striker and you don't score, you're gonna be angry, right? But when it's actually a built system, the first thing you have to get the players to do is buy into that system.
Right.
Once they're bought in, then they're going to have to find that creativity or what drives them, and that's what's going to essentially separate the players who are going to move to the next levels are the ones that can buy into the system and then show who they are within that system.
A free kick called at the beginning of this play. Washington, as he laid that pass down the line, was fouled at midfield. So it'll be a free kick coming here for Nashville.
But to follow that thought, when I was younger, I was always an attacking player. Striker, I was typically the fastest on my team, even in the youth, as I kind of went up the pyramid. And then at a certain point, a coach said to me, if you think you want to make it, you're going to be an outside back. That's your position. That's your chance of making it at the highest level. And I had a choice then, because I tell you what, it's a lot more fun to score goals than defend somebody really fast running at you every time he gets the ball. But that was a choice you had to make. I had to make from a professional level. And while that wasn't a philosophy within a club, I wish it was, because it would have been a lot easier to develop in that club. And then on the next level, you have guys now playing left back that have been playing it since they were 12 years old now, coming through a system as an actual left back instead of everybody being a striker until they're in college. So it's an educational thing that they're learning a position from a much earlier age.
Wynn gets it wide from Maloto, and now easily into the hands of Loro. If you were running an academy, would you have your star center forwards and your star number 10s learn how to play other positions at that young age? Would you force everyone to play holding midfield for a little bit, to play in on the defense?
I think there's an educational side of playing multiple positions, but at a certain point you want them to be specialists. So, you look at a guy like Christian Casares, for example, extremely technical, very calm on the ball, right? So the question's always going to be for him.
Wheel looking for some space to get the cross away. He's closed down by Reed, and Davis sneaks it into the feet of Mines. Bourgeois makes the tackle. Akinyode coming over to help. And now Nashville's able to clear.
So you look at a guy like him and you say, is he willing to commit to the system, which is a little bit more high-paced, a little more frantic, and he is more of a calmer guy in the ball. You look at with the New York Red Bull first team too, Kaku. The big argument around Champions League and things like that was, should he have started? Should he not have started? Is he a guy that, with all of his talent, you know that he's probably the most talented guy in the field, but is he willing to commit to the system? And when you can get enough people on the pitch to commit to that system, or enough people on the team, it's going to actually put you in the best chances to win. But if you don't, you're always going to have guys that aren't willing to be within that system that just want to be creative. They don't want to actually do what is needed for them to get a result. And when you're a team like this that's wants to press high up the pitch, force turnovers, one cog in that wheel, good teams will break that pressure every single time.
Right.
So you need to make sure that you have guys that are willing to commit to that system, and then within that, you build out your world as a creative player. Because not just number 10s are creative. Everybody's going to have their own creativity or character that they want to implement on the game, whether you're a center back or a number 10. And so it's about finding that creativity or what drives you within those positions. So I don't know if that answers your question. But
No, but I have 50 more questions, so it's fine. As we look at Ibrahim Sakaya, his first opportunity to coach. If you were a coach, you're a head coach, let's say a similar situation to Gary Smith, right? Head coach / was TD, head of soccer operations, has Mike Jacobs now under him. Would you pick is there a correct style in your mind, the right way to play soccer, or is it pick a style and just try and perfect it?
in terms of a head coach?
If you were a head coach.
Well, that's a good question. Actually.
Yeah, don't try and weasel out of that one
and
say it's situational.
I'm gonna answer it, but I've got to literally think that one through. For
wheel to the far post, Casares puts that one over. New York's starting to find some success down this right wing here, as Liam Doyle now playing at that left center back position for Nashville. Still getting his feet wet. Casares creating a dangerous chance in the first half, showing off his footwork. This time reading Wheel's run.
Good dynamic movement from Wheel there to have that diagonal run behind that back line into the channel. Puts in a solid ball to the back post. But here's my answer for you. I think you have to take the cards that are given to you. You can't try to play like Barcelona if you don't have Barcelona quality players. That is the reality. And I think some teams live and die by a philosophy that they can't do. When you're talking about developing players, I think the way what you're seeing now with New York Red Bulls is the closest you can get in terms of where the game is at now to developing players the right way, in terms of pressing the right way, in terms of defending the right way, in terms of how you get your goals without sacrificing and being just this team that doesn't care about the ball and there's no emphasis on anything but pressing, winning the ball, and scoring, because that's not what the philosophy is. That is the philosophy for gaining possession within that system. And I think the fact that it's now a unilateral philosophy within the club is a major thing. That means that enough people are buying into it instead of it being like, we're going to watch Barcelona teams here because they're fun to watch and they always have the ball. But what people don't see on the flip side is that Barcelona have that 6-second rule where as soon as you turn over the ball, you have 6 seconds to win it back, because that's when teams are vulnerable. And there's a certain percentage of kind of possession recovered when you high press in those moments, in those 6 seconds. And that's the stuff that people don't want to pay attention to, because it's better to watch when a team has 80% possession and say, that's a philosophy. That's the style of play we want.
Which also is a defensive philosophy, right? If you have 73% possession, like a Barcelona, you've got players on the field who have good first touches, are technical, have vision. They don't also have to defend.
Right.
The other team doesn't have the ball. Now, but what you're saying is you're not an evangelist of anything. From a first team level, right? Because if I ask you that question, if you had one philosophy that you only believed in and you only watched Napoli play and you only watched Barcelona play, that would have come out first, right? So you believe that it really comes down to how to get results and how to win. There are, I'm assuming, some basic tenets that you would put in for every team, and then you would change things based on the personnel you have.
Absolutely. How you press shouldn't change unless you're an actual Barcelona, right? There's very few. When you get the best players in the world onto your team, you get to have the few exceptions to the rule. But in terms of how you defend, how you approach the game, how you press, how you move in transition, how you build out, that would all fit within a philosophy that I think has iterations to it, but generally speaking, has the same baseline no matter where I would be managing.
Right. I look forward to a Heath Pierce managed team. I will bring my team in where we are 9 up top, just moving the ball constantly. No, I would play 6 holding midfielders and then 6 Riquelme-style, slow, methodical, technical midfielders. So I'd have 12 players on the field, which would be my advantage. As Mensah now gets in, Looking for some space. Goes all the way back for Kimura. Lays it off for Wynn. Now makes the run outside. Wynn's cross is blocked by Scarlett. Nashville pushing their lines up higher. Starting to get some attacking possession here. Bourgeois goes wide for Wynn. Former USU 17 international Allen Wynn. Turnover there. Now Bonomo trying to turn out of pressure. Cuts it back for Muil. Nashville wins this ball back. Heath, we see Nashville pushing up that back line. Higher than we saw most of the first half. If not all of the first half. Starting to see some success for it here. Just midway through this second half of this one. Substitution coming now for Nashville. Their second sub, it's going to be Matt Lagrasta. Lagrasta, a huge season last year with Reno. Out in the Western Conference in USL play. Had the third most passes completed in all of USL as he started 31 games. Washington's shot is blocked by Endam. Just 25 years old for Lagrasta. So he's going to come on in place of Wynn. And this, now you bring in a possession-based, more central player for a more attacking winger, and you can see the idea for Coach Smith to get on the ball a little bit more to maybe slow this New York team down.
Absolutely, and I think saw there just in that last run of play, there's a little bit of exposure on the outside. You can see Ethan Cutler overcommitting, leaving those gaps. Be interesting to see how Lagrasta is able to step in and make his mark for these next 30 or so minutes.
So that's all for the Tar Heel. Allen Wynn comes off, and Coach Smith puts an arm around him. He walks off the field. Lagrasta, one of the players that Coach Smith mentioned, saying, I've got a lot of experienced players who all believe they're starters. It's a matter of just trying to figure out where and when to get everyone minutes as I figure out what my best 11 is. On the flip side for New York, Armando Moreno is up off the bench with his jersey on, getting ready to come in. So an attacking substitution for Sakaya coming up. There'll be a free kick here. Reed, Davis, and Maloto standing over this one. As Maloto now conveys his message and will step off of it. We've got left foot and right foot. We've seen both these players take. Davis floats it in. Headed down at the near post and pushed wide by Loro. Nashville with a huge opportunity there to take a lead for the second time. And who else but Rapapa Mensah. The goal scorer, every chance has come through him, Heath, and he gets another look here.
It's a nice little dinked ball, and not with a ton of pace, but you know, again, that ball should never be able to get past the first man unless it's whipped in hard. But it got through, and Mensah gets a good look, but a huge save from Loro.
Now Reed to the far post. Flicked on by Bonomo. There's Bourgeois crashing hard on that far post, looking for an opportunity. Nashville goes short this time. Maloto back out wide. Davis clips it in with his left foot. Headed down in the middle of the box. No blue shirts there. Now New York, an opportunity to try and push up their back line a little bit. Akinyode down the wing for Lagrasta. Now for Washington. Left-footed cross comes in. Maloto wide open. And he hits a shot into the ground and wide of that near post.
Last few minutes have been strong for Nashville, attacking up that left side. Seen Washington being able to get into some dangerous positions and really spark that attack. Attack that they were missing for a lot of that first half, and now more and more chances being created. Obviously, Maloto would love to have that one back at the top of the box. That was teed up for him nicely. But you can start to see that they're feeling a little bit of success in a few of their attacking approaches. They're going to look to continue to try to execute against that and get themselves a second goal.
So Alex Muil, 18 minutes played yesterday against NYCFC, so that means this afternoon will be done a little bit early here today. A like-for-like swap as Moreno will come on in that attacking wide position. Bezecourt putting on the armband for this New York Red Bull 2 team, now on the ball. So Alex Muil there. Heath, 65 minutes played in this one. And as you said, got more aggressive and more comfortable as this game went along. Doyle there caught in possession. Finally able to clear. Reed, good flick up the line for Washington. And now New York get it back. Bonomo and Moreno linking up early. Moreno looking to go wide. Bonomo trying to turn in pressure. And the ball rolls into the hands of Pickens. This game's starting to open up here. These two teams are looking for a winner in these final 30 minutes.
This is where you're going to rely heavily on Casares and Lima to be able to hold down that central midfield position, cover when an outside back is pulled out. Things get a little bit wide, but also that gap between the back line and the strikers. How tight can you keep that here in the second half as the game starts to get bigger and bigger? The tighter you keep that, the better your chances are of staying organized and denying any true goal-scoring opportunities or forcing them to at least create some sort of magic to score on you.
Armando Moreno, 3 goals scored already this season. So a dangerous player for Sakaya to bring off the bench for this New York Red Bull 2 team. Try and find a winner. Washington in space, cuts it back from Maloto again. One-on-one now with Scarlett. Reed goes wide for Davis. And Cutler's able to intercept that pass before Washington gets there. But second straight time, you saw Washington find Maloto with that late run.
Yeah, Washington's been getting up into that higher position on the field, playing more as a wing back or left midfielder now. Just really getting in behind that back line and testing Cutler, sort of see what he's made of, right? And really have to wake him up, and that balance between the center back and the outside back is going to continue to be tested because they found a little bit of success here attacking.
Davis throws it in off the thigh of Maloto. Lima now under pressure, colliding with Akinyode. New York are able to work out of it eventually. Stafford the direct ball off Moreno. Kimura following that one all the way across the field and wins back possession for his side. Nashville SC showing a lot more push here in the second half. Going to steal an away win in a league where they are tough to come by. As we mentioned, a murderer's row coming up for Nashville on the schedule with Louisville, Charleston, and the Riverhounds. Not a whole lot of easy games in the Eastern Conference in USL. Moreno on the ball once again. He's been active in his first few minutes. Trying to find a teammate. Daniel Gutierrez right over that one, and he calls the foul in favor of the away side.
See Moreno running into a little bit of no man's land there. 1 against 5, 1 against 6. Knowing when to cut that ball back is hugely important. He comes back with it and is unable to keep it. A little physical play there, but isn't able to draw the foul.
Jared Stroud coming on in place of Ben Mines. So, afternoon done for the young homegrown player. Stroud, Colgate draft pick, following up Ethan Cutler, as those two are on the same side together. Stroud's younger brother, Peter, a USU 17 international, a former teammate of Ben Mines in the academy. Stroud himself, an Red Bull PDL player before getting drafted this year. Maloto looking for Lagrasta into the feet of Mensah. Mensah with the quick snapshot and it goes wide of that near post. You're starting to see this Nashville team spread out this Red Bull 2 back line and create some opportunities.
There's a lot more fluidity in the movement from Nashville's team. We talked about it early on that you could see that Moloto's the kind of guy that needs the ball all the time to stay in it. He's been getting the ball a lot in this second half. You can see his confidence, his body language has changed. His confidence is higher. He wants the ball in tough places, and he wants to be creative, which earlier in the game he wasn't getting those opportunities. And that wakes the team up when they feel that they have a player like that, a playmaker, that can get them the ball in dangerous positions and also create a little magic for himself.
Moreno has been very aggressive since he's come off the bench. He's the player you saw growing up playing here in this Red Bull Academy, and we've seen every opportunity he gets. He likes to run at guys. He likes to try and force the issue.
Absolutely. He's the kind of guy that you can start him, and he's going to do the same thing as if you bring him in. He's going to be busy. He wants to score. He wants to attack. His first look is always forward. Sometimes that balance is off, but when that balance is right, when he's doing it, he can keep possession for you. He can be a guy that can draw fouls, and he can also be extremely dangerous, swimming along that back line, attacking on his own, creating chances.
Lima stepping forward, wins this ball, slips it in for Moreno. He rounds the goalkeeper and can't put it on frame. We talked about how aggressive this young player can be. Moreno, the diagonal run across that back line, Heath, and he rounds the keeper and just can't find the frame.
He did all the hard work there. Great ball to slip behind that back line, stays onside, beats the goalkeeper. It was always going to be a tough angle to get around that, wrap his leg around that, but certainly think he could have done better, putting it closer to at least on frame.
And it'll be a substitution up top here for Coach Smith. Rapapa Mensah, who has been the best player on the field, potentially for either side, will come off. Michael Cox, a like-for-like sub, will come on up top. So a big decision here for Coach Smith as we look at this chance. Another good through ball here from Lima.
Great through ball. Was always going to be a difficult finish for Moreno from a tough angle with a goalkeeper coming back, or defender coming back to cover that near post. But when you talk about bringing on players who are going to make an impact and not make the game about them, not about showing that why they weren't starting or proving something different, but also hoping the team get a result, Mondo Moreno's been great so far.
Michael Cox, the Calgary, Canada native, looking to do the same on the flip side. Experience with FC Edmonton as well as overseas in Finland and Portugal. Spent the last few years in USL. Found his feet originally with Orlando City B, now with this Nashville squad. Lima had the assist on the goal, a similar ball on the ground, a good slick pass, breaking the lines, and he almost did it again for Moreno. Lima trying to put a stamp on that holding midfield spot as Echeverria's out. Behind the ball, Jordan Scarlett and Michael Cox getting into a collision. Scarlett still down, back behind the play, laying in that midfield circle. So 11 on 10 right now for Nashville. Lima comes over to help clean things up. Cox and Scarlett, it looked like, were both running in the same direction. Scarlett was in front of Cox as they both slipped, and Cox kind of landed on Scarlett. I don't know how purposeful it was, but it ended up being a little bit of a body slam. And now Jordan Scarlett get a little bit of attention from the trainer. 15 minutes left to play in this one, Heath. We've seen a lot of good stuff offensively from both these teams and defensively. Both these teams have had moments where they've had to bunker down and just hold the fort after the 2 goals in the first half. Do you see a winner for either of these sides in this one?
I do, actually. I think we saw a little bit of what Nashville's capable of when Washington's found a little success on that left side. It's allowed him to sort of cover that entire left side and allowed players like Mensah, who is now off, to be a little more dangerous. Guys like Moloto to get a little more space. Having more dangerous players on the field has allowed them to kind of start to isolate players one-on-one to be a little more creative and create opportunities for themselves. And then on the flip side, Mondo Moreno's been what I think is the biggest spark that this team has had even from the start of the match. He's been busy, opportunistic, and I think he's going to find one or two more chances, or at least through his movement, the team's going to find one or two more chances to open up and leave Nashville exposed, which could very well lead to a result. But I do think that there's going to be a few more big chances here by the end of this match.
So a conversation between our head official and the fourth referee about what happened, as it happened right at midfield. Scarlett now coming back over, the Iona graduate. Recovered from a broken arm last year to help solidify the Red Bull 2 defense down the stretch. They made that late run to get into the playoffs, getting all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals as a 7 seed. Victories on the road against Charleston and the Tampa Bay Rowdies, who are falling in PKs in Louisville. It's been a little unsure to start this year. We saw the MLS squad working with a 4- and 5-man back line. Aurelian Collin in and out of the lineup. Tim Parker getting traded in. It affected the way this New York Red Bull 2 team played. We saw Scarlett start the year at the center of a 5-man back line, not look fully comfortable. And now maybe some of that still carrying over as this team has switched into a 4-man back line.
Absolutely. I mean, switching between a 5, or if you call it a 3, or a 3 and a 4, whichever it is, it takes a lot of practice, a lot of training. Being that free roaming man that's reading the game, cutting out passing lanes, can be a lot of fun if you understand how it works, but if you don't, it's very, very, very difficult because you're holding players on side, not knowing the players around you, who's supposed to be taking who, and it really does require a lot of reps to get comfortable with it.
And Scarlett, a player who we saw last year be very aggressive as a center back, be kind of the guy that attacks, that steps to the ball, that tries to win that initial ball and allows his partner to drop, seemed uncomfortable being that center player who was deepest and who was trying to protect defensively, something we see, for example, Drew Moore do so well for Toronto.
Yeah, you got to be able to read the game, understand the game, see things before they happen. It's not as much as of a physical presence.
Yeah, you look at that position, you could say at times you shouldn't touch the ball. It's almost like being a goalkeeper, in which if you can move the pieces around you correctly and communicate correctly, you really shouldn't have to do all that much yourself. Stroud.
I mean, and that can be said about just communication in general for these guys. The hardest part is a lot of these guys every single week, it's a different group you're putting on the field, at least for the Red Bull 2. So using that communication, you don't have that comfort level of always knowing where every guy is going to be. But if you can learn to communicate, if defenders can learn to communicate early, can make your own job so much easier than having to constantly put out fires.
Kimura to float this cross in. Reed chests it down for Lagrasta. Numbers forward now for Nashville. Moloto gets by one, and his shot goes just wide. He took on Endom head-to-head, got by the center back. You could see a couple hands reach out, ready to grab that jersey there of Moloto, and he puts his shot just wide. Now New York wasting no time, back the other way. Moreno charging into the box. He gets onto his right foot. Lays it back for Bezecourt, whose one-time shot goes over the top and into the supporter section.
You saw in that replay there, that cut back to the left side leaves Ndam a little bit exposed, able to keep an arm on him just long enough to avoid giving up a penalty, but throwing him off balance, forcing him to put that wide. But pretty good look for this late in the match for Nashville.
We have seen some great individual quality put on display by these two teams. Moreno has been a spark coming in here in the second half. Don't forget, of course, USL has moved over to the brand new platform for ESPN on ESPN Plus. So you can watch this game as well as all USL games on ESPN Plus. You can, of course, go to uslsoccer.com for the schedule, as well as a lot of content coming out about all these teams. You can keep up to date with all the best social media from around the league as Kelsey Steele hosts Off the Post every Friday through the league's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram feeds. Just south of 10 minutes left to play here in regular time. Nashville took an early lead in the 7th minute through a Papa Mensah. Now Lagrasta gets an opening down the side. Look for the feet of Cox, who whiffs on it. And then Washington just a second too late as New York gets the clearance. This Nashville team has been much more dangerous here in the second half.
Red Bull 2s look just really unsettled over the last 10 minutes or so. Ever since we had Scarlett go down, that bit of an injury, bit of a knock there. Just been really unsettling. Not on the same page. You can also see Nashville's cheating a lot of guys. Even if you're looking at the front line now, 3-4 guys up there looking to win second balls and just go at them. And while that happens, we're seeing a few more of the Red Bull 2s sitting back or sitting higher up on the field, cheating up a little bit, waiting for their chance.
Davis trying to sneak that ball around the back line. Scarlett with the slide tackle pushed away. Brian White now coming on as the final substitution for this one.
Great little clearance there in the last moment to recover. That recovery speed so important.
Brian White, 4 goals on 13 shots already this season. He comes in for Chris Lima, the defensive midfielder. So this one is all offense here for New York Red Bull 2. All hands on deck as they look to push forward for a winner. Coming off back-to-back draws, including that game up in Ottawa, which they dominated, were man up for most of, and couldn't find the winner. Wide now for Bonomo for the one-time pass to the far post. Stroud puts that one behind Stauffer. A solid display here for Lucas Stauffer. This is his 3rd game with New York Red Bulls 2. Started at right back up in Canada, now at left back for this one. Ball floated in. Pickens gets a half hand to it. Stroud's shot goes off his teammate's body, and it's cleared away. Brian White laying on the top of the 6 after a collision for the header. And Stroud's shot was blocked by his teammate. Dangerous ball there by Cutler. And this time, the free kick called in favor of Scarlett. Heath, it would be shocking if this game ended 1-1.
I agree, and you can tell this is where you want to see Red Bulls 2 spending their time, and in the attacking half being much more dynamic. You see here off a great ball, forcing Pickens to come out off his line, hits it well. Actually probably would have gotten through there.
Yeah, goalkeeper out. And Stroud just unfortunately couldn't avoid his own teammate. So now it's a dangerous free kick here for New York. Scarlett staying back for this one, but you see Endom and Bonomo some size in the box. This one flicked onto the far post. Casares trying to keep possession. Cox steals it away. Forces Stauffer into the slide tackle. Michael Cox has been a bright addition off the bench for Nashville. Maybe a little surprising to see Coach Smith take off Mensah, but it's worked out for him so far.
Just a little nod to Stauffer there. No, he's a player that you like. Just to be able to put out that fire, Armando Moreno loses that ball there, and they had numbers to counterattack and going in hard into that challenge. A foul, but again, stops anything dangerous from happening. And you can tell this field is quite big, and both these teams are looking for that goal. Neither of them seem to be really trying to play for a draw.
Coming forward now once again. Reed charging into the box. He's played much higher here in the second half as Nashville's gotten possession. Washington floats another dangerous cross in. Cox chests it down. Space to shoot. It's blocked. And it rolls out here on this right side for a Nashville corner kick. Taylor Washington really opening this game up down this left wing for this Nashville team.
Well, it seems like Nashville's leaving 3 up top right now every time they lose possession. On the flip side, Red Bulls 2 are leaving 3 up top, just looking for that goal, cheating a little bit up, taking their chances. We saw Red Bulls losing a lot of possession, but still making, Coach Sagaya making that change for a defensive player and throwing in an attacking player.
Davis takes it. It eludes everyone in blue, but Bonomo gets a touch on the far post. So a throw-in coming for Nashville. By the way, you said Stauffer player I like. Former futsal player, plays out at fullback, likes to get forward. He will be a player you like as well. Heath Pierce likes any defender who doesn't defend.
Yeah, especially when they're an outside back.
Exactly. Washington to the feet of Moreno. Reed keeps it alive. Now for Nashville. Akinyode looking to get a win over his former team. Ian Kosuke Kimura, 2 former Red Bulls players. Pickens floats this one forward. Cox once again showing that good control. Has Washington making the run. Washington beats Lauro, and the shot is blocked. It looked like a tap in, and Hassan Endom with the clearance off the line. Nashville now going forward still. Stauffer, not a clean touch, and now Endom heads it away. Heath, 2 or 3 times this game we've thought the ball was already in the back of the net. What a play there from Hassan Endom to keep his team in this one.
We talked about it in the first half when Scarlett turned it over that we wanted to see better reactions from the players to recover. That's a great ball behind the back line, and a willingness to see Endom get back, cover the goal, be big, has now kept them at 1-1 in this match. And that's the perfect type of recovery run you want from somebody at this point in the game to say, hey, it might be easier to just, you know, the goalie will save it, we'll be fine. But that willingness to be pessimistic mentally and know that I'm going to go back, I'm going to recover, I'm not going to let my team down. Huge save, huge goal save. And yeah, 1-1.
Biggest play of the game potentially by Endom there. Michael Cox, who's already scored against Red Bulls 2 in his career, has been a difference maker off the bench for Coach Smith. Looked like he was going to carve another one open for this team. Scarlett dives in early there. That one-on-one battle has been fun to watch. Well, we approached the 89th minute. We didn't think it would still be 1-1. At the same time, it probably shouldn't. These two teams have had a number of chances. The attacking talent on display has been fun to watch between Nashville SC and New York Red Bulls 2. The first time they've ever matched up. Stauffer now charging forward. Gets in a little too deep. Casares follows it up with a shot. New York still battling, but Reed playing out of the back. Lagrasta with the dangerous long ball. Maloto's in space, goes by Lauro, and Scarlett recovers this time. First it was Endom, now his center back partner Scarlett. Once again, being pessimistic, assuming that the goalkeeper won't make the play. And Scarlett gets back and saves the New York Red Bulls 2 once again.
Huge recovery effort. When it happens this often, though, you start to wonder, are they in the right positions? Because it shouldn't be happening that often. Great recovery again from Scarlett to get back there, put it anywhere, doesn't matter, allow your team to get back. But again, you saw that moment where Endom loses his man off of his back shoulder.
Now the corner coming in. Headed down. Lauro makes the save. Washington floats it to the far post. First header won, and the follow-up shot goes wide.
But you see a player lose him off the back shoulder in those moments. For these young players, is a learning experience. There is enough quality on this field that if you cheat or if you fall asleep for a second, somebody will punish you. Now, the recovery speeds are great, but when it starts to happen a few times, you got to take a little deeper look into why they're able to get behind that back line, why they're so vulnerable in the back line in this part of the game. You should be able to say, hey, in certain moments, we've got to recover back. We got to close those gaps in the middle, force them wide, and leave those dangerous spots in the pockets or behind us closed.
Lagrasta 30 yards from his own goal and just floated that one up as we see Loro's save here. Akinyode almost getting the winner back in his old stomping grounds. Stroud coming forward. His left-footed shot blocked once again. Casares jumps over one defender, falls down, and the follow-up shot from White is over the top. And Akinyode did not like Casares trying to earn that free kick on the top of the box. And now Daniel Gutierrez trying to calm everyone down. So we are 2 minutes into a minimum of 3 minutes of stoppage time. And this game has absolutely exploded here over the final 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's been end to end. Lots of attacking opportunities. Like we said, Evan Loro coming up with a few big saves here today, just a few minutes ago. His last one. And then here on the flip side, again, counterattacking with emphasis, getting up the field. Casares looking for that foul. A great look on frame for a turn and hit. You want to challenge the goalkeeper there, force him to make a save. Leaning back a little bit and puts it over the bar.
Moloto has Scarlett pulled out wide. Scarlett makes the tackle. You mentioned Liga MX earlier in this game. It has gotten very Liga MX in this one. Cox now trying to get to that cross, and it's too far for him. But these two teams just leaving numbers up, no midfield, and just playing end-to-end here over these final 20 minutes. What a game it has been.
I mean, looking up right now across the top line, there's 5 guys up there. They're looking for the 3 points. But anytime you're doing that and the other team's cheating the same players forward, you're looking potentially to give up 3 points.
Cutler intercepts that one, and that is it. By a miracle, this game finishes 1-1. Nashville, it looked like, had 2 opportunities to walk the ball into the back of the net to close out this second half. New York Red Bulls 2 poured on the pressure throughout this game as they finish out-shooting Nashville 15-2. But 4-2 shots on goal. Heath, this was a fun one.
It was a fun
impressive
one, especially in the second half. Obviously, from a critical standpoint, I'm looking at the Red Bulls 2 saying you shouldn't be giving up that many opportunities. You shouldn't be that unbalanced in the back, but it did make for entertaining soccer on both ends.
For Nashville SC, a big road point to close out this week on the road before they head home to face off against Louisville. We'll be back in just a moment here from Red Bull Arena with all your match highlights and post-game reaction here on the USL ESPN Plus page.
With MSG Go, the game goes where you go. So you can watch live Red Bulls games anywhere you want. It's free and easy because if you get MSG, you get MSG Go. Watch your favorite team wherever you are with MSG Go, presented by Lexus. Download it for free where you get your apps.
One of the nation's leading heart programs. A shared sense of compassion, innovation, and expertise. Perfectly orchestrated so your world never misses a beat. Hackensack Meridian Health. Life years ahead.
1-1 final between New York Red Bulls 2 and Nashville, but quite honestly, a miracle that these two teams didn't score more. Some great attacking play. Alan Wynn, a big part of that for Nashville as well. Let's take a look at the highlights from this one. Heath, there was a perfect start for Nashville coming on the road, scoring in the 7th minute, Rapapa Mensah leading the attack.
Like we said, it's a team that's been very good at home, the New York Red Bulls too. A little too calm in the back, slow to recover, great slotted finish, pulling Evan Laurel all the way out to the top of the box.
Jordan Scarlett would have an eventful one, but Heath, you mentioned here, not enough work to recover from Endom and Scarlett off the mistake. We would see the opposite in the second half. And then Lima picking apart the defense. Bezecourt, his 3rd USL game of the year, 1st goal of the season.
Lima today was showing a lot of range in his pass, but Bezecourt being able to get in behind that back line, set it up with his first touch, know exactly where he's going to put it, slots it to the back post.
It was an eventful end to the first half for Rapapa Mensah. This one did not count. A gorgeous opportunity, but he continued to be dangerous in the second half. And then the substitutes in Michael Cox and Matt Lagrasta really made a difference.
Fantastic save from Evan Laurel there. Getting down low after setting his feet from close range, forcing it out for a corner kick.
Mensah holding his head there, looking for his 2nd of the game, 4th of the season. He was a threat all afternoon against this New York Red Bull 2 defense. Bezecourt created opportunities. Amando Moreno was dangerous off the bench. And this one from Stroud, blocked by his own teammate in Brian Wright. And White saying, what am I supposed to do about that one? Chances galore, though. Michael Cox here opening up the attack. Washington setting up Moloto. And Endom with the goal line clearance to save his team.
Huge recovery speed there. Willingness to keep that point alive for the team. Obviously, some gaps in that back line that are allowing those chances that are going to have to be addressed, but well done to keep them in the match.
As we mentioned, for these two teams, New York Red Bulls 2 out shooting this Nashville team 15-12, but in possession in the first half, it was 61-39, and then overall 53-47. Shows you how much Nashville grew into this one.
Yeah, they're an experienced team. They settled into the second half, found their space on the wings instead of trying to force it up the gut, settled into possession some more, but 30 shots across both teams, pretty eventful. A lot of that happening late in the second half. Entertaining game.
These two teams both went for a win, but they do end in a tie. A 1-1 game between New York Red Bulls 2 and Nashville. The 3 continuous draws for New York Red Bulls 2. For Nashville, back-to-back ties on the road as they get ready to return home against Louisville. The first time these two teams have matched up, and still looking for a difference between these two squads. For Heath Pierce, myself, David Goss, our producer Richard Kaufman, and Mike Demmel, thanks so much for watching us, and have a great day.